Jim Joyce.
Here we are, man.
Beautiful. And I think we're on this in the same country, and I actually think on the same coast again.
I think so. I'm in a little island off of the coast of Boston, or coast of Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard.
Nice.
But in your
nice.
perspective, could be New York.
Yeah.
And you're back in the garage.
No, so I changed the scenery. Today it's supposed to be, for our American viewers in like 95 or crazy like that outside.
Yeah.
So even with the fan and stuff, I figured I get back in the house. But
Right.
But gearing up for quite a lot of things next week. I'm sort of back and forth to New York City pretty much every week. Next week, just gonna pimp out a couple of things before we go on, since we got
Awesome.
the millions of people viewing us. So
Right.
first of all, I am gonna be hosting a Health Excel event next week on the 19th.
That's right.
With none other but, as John Hallock describes him, a force of nature, Glen Tullman.
Yeah, Glen Tullman, you got it. Get his name.
No, because you know why, we had another Glen on, and I'm like, I just got to, I'm getting a little old. So Glen Tullman, I'm looking forward to that. It's a reconnect from our fireside chat in Berlin.
And what do you think? What do you think in subject wise? Where is it going? Where's like?
I don't know. I'm also meticulously unproduced, so it's only live audience, so there's no like live stream and stuff. We're sort of trying to do this, fun and connected to the audience, so it's not going to be a huge event. The other one I'm recording, I'm looking forward to a number of people. It's our Matthew Holt and Jess. They put together an amazing agenda. I think it's going to be juicy as hell, and not because I'm one of the moderators, even if I wasn't. The one I'm moderating. Do we need a pharmacy still? Which is kind of interesting. So it's like David Klein from Click, Paul from Lemonade Health, and many others. So policies, tech is VCs. Quick two other ones. Frontiers Health is already has
the name of Jessica and Matt's event is.
I think it's literally called Policies, Techies, VCs, or something like that.
And it's virtual, or it's in person?
It's virtual. It's virtual.
Okay. Yep.
Then we got October 15th coming up for DTX only Health Excel. We got a Dublin digital Health Excel event, October 28th. We got Frontiers Health happening hybrid, but Milan in November.
Yep.
And then our own Your Coach. We had so much success last year. We're doing this again.
Right.
It's going to be the Global Health and Wellness Coaching Symposium. Awesome agenda already. But so that's us. I see our guest is pinging us already too.
Awesome.
Cool. So this is going to be interesting. So I'm going to let in my dear friend Ana Maiques. Let's see. In the mountains. That's where she's pinging us from.
From the mountains outside of Barcelona.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Right.
So I think it's still joining. So just while she's joining, okay. Are you only gonna do? Oh no, I can see you turning on the video. I wasn't sure, Ana.
Excellent.
Hello.
Hey.
I knew that's the energy that I was looking for. We've been so Jim. Before we get to your mountains and holiday and the fact that you're doing this, I think you finally felt bad because I've been asking you to join. And one day she's with Macron on stage. Another time, this fancy woman. Welcome to the shot. Do you guys know each other?
No, Ana, I don't think have we met before, Ana?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, nice to meet you. And you're joining from the mountains.
Yes, I'm in the Pyrenees. Like I was on a lake like a couple of hours ago, and I took a shower. The only thing is I need to get one of my kids to bring me my charger. So if you allow me, because I'm going to run out of batteries.
Yeah, no
there's always a first for the shot of digital health.
Right.
There's people making their drinks because they forgot them. So
yeah,
whatever.
my son I was just biking. I'm in Martha's Vineyard, and I was just biking, and my son just took a header off the bike, but he's all safe. And I just put him back together and then jumped onto the podcast. So it's all very fluid.
The things we do as a showman and showwomen.
But anyway, my charger is on the way. So, okay, so what do you want to cover in this time?
We just want to hang out with you. I know you're in the mountains in the holiday, but you know, the background, I don't even know if we've spoken, but like, you know, the background is Jim and I needed an outlet mental health break and suck somebody else's energy out midweek. So hence we're picking
this shot of digital health. Yeah.
Just to sort of remind and go back, I think, Anna, you and I met years ago at XMed, and then we reconnected through Jane Metcalfe, I think, was, oh, hey, you know, Eugene and family moved to Barcelona. Anna is back from Boston. So, but, you know, maybe just give a little bit of the background to our millions of viewers and listeners on who you are and how you got to Neuroelectrics, because that to me is the focus.
Yeah, great.
Who are you? And where's your vermouth, by the way?
I'll pick it up in a moment.
Okay, good. Charger and vermouth, important.
Okay, perfect.
So over to you, Anna. Who are you and how'd you get to Neuroelectrics?
Wait, let me plug my computer.
Okay.
Love it.
Awesome. And no, we've
Jane,
had a few
Jane is a great connector as well. It's I think you know, so she reconnected Anna and I visited Anna's office. This was, I'm trying to remember, we were wearing masks already, if I'm not mistaken, and then sat on the beautiful balcony of the building that Anna's company is in. So I enjoyed it, but that's called a filler to talk about an awesome person like Jane. So.
Okay, so I'm ready to go.
Okay, excellent. So who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So thanks for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here with you guys. And my name is Ana Maiques. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Neuroelectrics. And one of the really, really exciting things about Neuroelectrics is that my co-founder is a physicist and a mathematician. So we are looking at the brain from a physics and math perspective. We are looking at the brain from an electric kind of part of the body perspective. And we are obsessed in decoding the brain, but also helping patients that need new therapies, right? And my journey here begins in 2011 when we founded Neuroelectrics back in Barcelona. But in 2015, we saw that, you know, a lot of the action in, you know, in brain health, in new therapies was happening in Boston. So we opened our offices in Boston, where we moved from beautiful Barcelona to Boston. And
how come you didn't say beautiful Boston? From beautiful Barcelona to beautiful
I mean, excuse me, I made my dearest friends in Boston. I was there last week. I went to Nantucket. So everything is wonderful in Boston. But come on, you know, you've been in Barcelona, Jean. Tell them about the
architecture. I miss it. Can't wait to get back.
But, you know, I think it's great for the audience out there if you can have your life between somewhere as amazing as Boston in terms of science, and then have the talent, for example, of Europeans, all of the Eastern countries. I mean, there's amazing talent in Europe as well, right? And a different quality of life. And if you can create this bridge between Europe and the US, I think is a win-win for the people in the companies. I think is a win-win for the investors. And our company should be global companies. It shouldn't be, you know, Boston-based or Barcelona-based or whatever, right? We are playing the champions, and we like to play the ball at the competitive, you know, level, not at local, European, or even American level, right?
You know, it's interesting you bring up, because I do want to rewind before 2011 just a little bit, but you mentioned, you know, talent, right? And our tax and accountant just asked the question, where are you planning as your coach to have more consultants, workforce? Right. And the answer is kind of like wherever there's a great talent, which obviously complicates things, right, from a structure perspective. But before, you know, you kind of started right away 2011, but maybe just rewind a little bit more. Like what even brought you there? Like, what's your personal background even before that?
So this is my second company. So we can
Okay.
consider me and my co-founder as serial entrepreneurs. Our first company was called Starlab, it still exists, and was doing Earth observation for satellites, like protecting the Earth using satellite data. But we started to get super interested in neuroscience back in year 2000. And Starlab was a company created by Nicolas Negroponte from the MIT and the Rothschilds. And this was in the bubble of 2001. And unfortunately, all that investment kind of disappeared because of the internet bubble back in 2001. But my co-founder and myself and another, we bought Starlab and you know, just kept as entrepreneurs from Barcelona. And we were doing Earth observation and neuroscience back in 2000.
I was going to say, like, rocket and brain scientists over here, right?
And, you know, it's kind of similar because you don't care. I mean, it's about data analytics, it's about machine learning, it's about processing signals. So you don't care that the data is coming from a satellite to understand, you know, how green is the Earth, or from the brain, where you have to understand how the brain works. So, you know, mathematicians, physicists, you know, engineers were working on both areas of the company. And to make the story short, after 10 years of research, both in Earth observation and neuroscience, we saw that there was such a huge potential in neuro in 2011 that we decided to create a new company focused only on neurotech, that is Neuroelectrics.
Okay.
You know, you were early on. It's funny. I just got a note the other day in like 2013 or 14. I made like an angel investment into a space tech company where, you know, they were sending little satellites. I thought it was cool. Like, I just want to be able to control them, take pictures, right?
Right.
I just got a note they're spacking out for 1.6 billion. So I don't know what you know, this was the first round. So I don't know what I will get. I haven't done the math.
Yeah, the dilution.
Yeah. Well, but you know, that's.
No, but it's a sweet time for space tech as well.
Yeah.
I think it's taking us many years, but now it's like before only NASA and the European space agencies and the governments were launching satellites and rockets, but now it's like democratizing, you know, like in healthcare with digital health. Now almost anybody can step into the field. And I love these disruptive fields where usually they're in the hands of a few, like the pharmas or whoever, right? Or the space or the governments. And then they open up to the entrepreneurs out there, right? And that creates amazing companies. So I think it's a good time for space tech.
That's actually a very great parallel. I never really thought of it, right? From, you know, the space and health tech. And actually I did, last year I did a talk for the ESA, the European Space Agency, and they were really trying to open this up to entrepreneurs. And sort of my call to action to the ESA was, I mean, if you can keep astronauts so well and healthy and monitored, why can't we democratize some of that technology, right? So,
right, like our good friend, Lisa Suennen, she was doing advising for NASA, you know, around kind of that parallel between health tech and space tech, and because you effectively age when you go into space, so you all that pressure and your bone density, and that's why I'm not going to space. I don't want to age any faster than I am at the moment.
And in fact, you know, as you're mentioning, there are also there is also like space researchers in NASA, you know, trying to do parallels between Alzheimer's and the way you age in space, and see if you can bring out, you know, back to Earth some of those lessons learned to reverse aging, right? So I think there is a lot of interesting things, and you know, also fatigue. How do you control fatigue in these long-term, you know, flights? I mean, a lot of interesting parts. I think if you go to Washington DC to the Smithsonian, there is an exhibit on, I think it was Apollo, and there is already an EEG and brain monitoring sensor that was taken into space, you know, back in the 60s, right? So I think that neuro or health and space have been always, you know, strongly correlated.
You know, I think we all know her, Esther Dyson. She actually trained to go into space. I don't know the details. We should actually ask her.
That's actually the first time I've met Esther. She was like in Africa, and then she stopped through Dublin, Ireland, met with us at Health Excel when we were just forming, and then was going to train as a cosmonaut, you know, in Moscow. So she was heading to like Moscow.
Yeah, crazy. So space, the uncharted frontier, is getting conquered slowly. And to me, back on Earth, yes, there's oceans, and to me, the other aspect is the brain, right? I think, and I don't know if that's true or not, to be honest, but is the brain part of our body that we know the least of?
I
Or
think
am I making this up?
Totally, yes. I think there are 100 billion neurons in the brain, and they're all the time communicating in ways we don't yet understand. It's a very, very complex network. It's like a supercomputer that it's super hard to understand. Ramon y Cajal, which is considered the father of neuroscience, and by chance was also Spanish, said that it's like the deepest forest, almost impossible, like to get in, right? Because it's just like a thick network of neurons, altering and changing all the time. And I was talking last week in Boston with Juan Enriquez, who is a good friend of mine, and he's been really interested on the brain. And I asked Juan, and I said, Juan, what did you learn about the brain by, the 5 years you've been reading about it? And he said that we know so little.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think
also,
that
I wondered,
one answer is pretty good, right? Like we know so little on how it works.
I wonder also, like, I'm in dealing with this, the transient nature of it too, right? Like the learning and relearning and the capacity to, that it's, we think of it in this like static capacity, like someone's good at languages or someone has a good memory or bad memory or is a quick thinker or creative, but it's actually quite transient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's
what did you say, Jim? No.
And there's so many big books on the plasticity of the brain, the fact that even if you remove a part of the brain that it's considered to do a certain function, right, the brain may readapt and use another part of the brain to perform that function. So that is kind of super fascinating, right? How it really changes in that way, right? So it's an amazing part of our body, right?
So before we go into, because I was fascinated, actually I'm rewinding back, I think I even met you before the XMed, because I remember this woman wearing something on her head. I think it was in Barcelona Health 2.0, if I'm not even mistaken. Sure. I think that might have been before the XMed even. But before we go in and unbundle all of that, you keep saying your partner, but you do Marina and I have hope? Because I think your partner is also your husband, right? Like, and you guys said this is the second company now, so
I know
you're still together.
You have hope with Marina. So yes, my partner is my husband, Giulio Ruffini, and I think the beauty is that he's a physicist and mathematician, so he's like the scientist on the company. He doesn't like the social part of the company or the networking, right? I'm more on the business side. So I think that from day one, like the marriage between business and science was very strong. I was obsessed that we will have, money on the table to pay our people, to grow the company, to go out there and sell whatever minimum viable product we'll have. And he was obsessed with the science. So I think that those obsessions were a winning match. And I actually love to work with Giulio. I mean, who can give you, and you know that, Eugene, a more brutal, honest feedback in the company than your partner? It's like, Ana, you did a poor, terrible job. I mean, nobody will ever be that honest, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's keeping each other real, right? That's one of the key things. So I think we lost Anna for 10 seconds, so 5 seconds. Good. Yep, we got her back.
Yeah, no,
I agreed.
I'm not as brave. I'm not as brave as you. I love my wife dearly, and I'm a much better man for marrying her. But I'm not sure that I'm going to start a business with her tomorrow.
No, I mean, again, not to dwell on the topic, but I think the same thing, right? Like it's the opposite that attract, but also makes it work from a business perspective also, right? And I think the trick, and I don't, maybe we'll do that over vermouth once we're back in Barcelona, but I think also the trick is, how do you really separate the business life and the personal family time? We're still learning, honestly. I mean, at dinner, our girls are kind of like, stop talking about your coach, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, that's also funny because we have 4 kids. So I also consider I'm a good mom. For the women out there that want to be entrepreneurs or CEOs, I have 4 kids. I think they're wonderful kids. I think I'm a great mom. But it's funny because sometimes I would receive like a great award or something like flashy, right? And then you get home And the kids were like, yeah, mama, what about my dinner? You know, what about my things? I don't care, you know, so they put you down on earth in ways. I think it's really healthy to have a family also, because they will put you where you need to be, you know, after work. Like, you know, you help me with my homework, where's my dinner, where is my clean clothes, whatever, right? So I think that was very helpful for Julio and myself. And I think that for any entrepreneur, having the balance of raising a family and a job gives you the right perspective, so you don't burn out and just devote everything.
Or fill up on your own, you know, obsessions and ego and whatever it is. They're like you said, like, hey, where's my homework? I need some help with homework, food. You know, I have a problem at school. Yeah. Like,
so let's dive into the wonderful helmet. Maybe just explain what the heck it is. What is it capturing? What is it doing? I know, and if I'm not mistaken, you guys have FDA approvals. But again, I won't go into it. I'll let you kind of describe it a bit more. I think she's negotiating the vermouth right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't bring the helmet with me because I'm but the helmet, as Matthew Holt calls it, like a swimming cap, you know. Right. But the helmet with multiple electrodes, what it does is it does two things. On one side, it can record your brain activity, so-called EEG, electroencephalography. So this is your brain waves or the electrical activity of your brain, which you will get if you suffer from epilepsy or a sleep disorder, right? You'll get an EEG. Yeah. But what we are most excited is that any of the 32 electrodes that this non-invasive cap has can also inject currents into the brain. So this is a brain stimulation device, very low currents. It's called transcranial current stimulation. And we think this has the potential to become a powerful therapy in many brain diseases. So why? Because by injecting currents into the brain, we can excite or inhibit brain activity. And depending on whether you suffer from epilepsy or Alzheimer's, you will want to either inhibit or excite that area of the brain. So one of the coolest things that we are doing in the company is, you know, where do you stimulate? I mean, the key is, okay, you can inject electricity in the brain, but where? And I think this is where we have become really a very interesting company, because what we do is we do a personalized brain model. So we do a neurotwin of your brain based on your MRI or your EEG. So we build a 3D model of your brain. And depending on, for example, in epilepsy, where the focus is coming from, or in Alzheimer's, we personalize per patient how many electrodes and what areas of the brain we need to inject currents to get to a desired effect. So it's really personalized brain therapy built on a neurotwin model of your brain. So we think this is going to be revolutionary in terms of how brain stimulation works until now, because before, other TES devices were just a couple of sponges shunting current from one hemisphere to the other, right?
Okay.
We have the
if you have a shower cup, if you have a shower cap, you need sponges too, right? But maybe not anymore. Exactly. Let's use Matthew Holt's analogy.
Yeah, and we don't like sponges. We just like small, you know, targeted electrodes. And as Eugene was saying, we reached out to the FDA. We launched our first pilot study at Boston Children's in Boston. And now we are in a pivotal phase with the FDA for epilepsy, for which we got breakthrough designation a couple of weeks ago. So we are super happy.
Right.
And the results show that 10 days of 20 minutes of stimulation in children that don't respond to medication in epilepsy can reduce seizures almost half. So our patient had 8 weeks of seizure tracker, 10 days of stimulation, 20 minutes every day, and then 8 weeks follow-up. So after 8 weeks, we managed to reduce their seizures 47%, non-invasive, without surgery, where meds don't work.
Right.
So you can start to imagine, you know, kids being taken our technology home and being stimulated 20 minutes at home, their EEG being recorded, their dosages being adapted, getting maybe some other behavioral data, right? But it's brain therapy in ways we haven't been able to do before. Where have you been able to provide brain therapy at home and record brain data at the same time?
And personalized or
personalized. Every patient gets a different protocol that is downloaded through the cloud into the device, which is a wireless device connected to the Wi-Fi. So everything is done on the cloud. So it's a truly personalized telemedicine solution.
And Ana, where is this coming from? Like what's the equivalent like therapy that's happening right now? It's the sponges you were talking about. That's the brain stimulation activity, or what's the, what are you building off of here? How does the FDA look at this?
So we are considered a class 2 device, and we have to go. There is no other transcranial current stimulation device approved in the United States.
Okay.
So we are aiming to be the first one, and it's going to be either a PMA or de novo path, of course.
Yeah.
So there is no other device approved. And I think the similar technologies are TMS for depression, which is transcranial magnetic stimulation, even ECT for depression, implanted electrodes like NeuroPace for epilepsy, or Medtronic DBS. So I think we are another sort of neuromodulation. There is also VNS, right, for epilepsy, like Livanova, the old Aeronautics. So I think that we enter in this neuromodulation family of technologies, but I think in a non-invasive, portable way, which no other modality can do.
Fantastic.
Can you actually buy the device for measurement purposes today, or is it only? I mean, I know you guys been in R&D mode. The reason I'm asking, I mean, a lot of the sort of the biohackers and quantified selfers are usually discovering things, and like, not to get into like the Black Mirror territory, but if you can help treat neurodegenerative diseases, can you enhance your brain? Can I enhance my memory? Can I enhance my response? Can I enhance my happiness? Right? Like whatever happiness means. Like, I'm not trying to be.
Yeah, Eugene's trying to learn Spanish, so he's wondering if you can.
Exactly.
I'm not sure anybody can help him. Any technology can help him with that.
Muchas gracias, señora.
De nada. So no, but I think it's an interesting question, and that's the reason why I have been involved in so many neuroethics panels and discussions. I mean, even if you look at Elon Musk and Neuralink, you see more and more people getting into the neurotech space. I think that for consumer applications, I'm a bit scared, because as we started our conversation, we know so little about the brain. What about if I make Eugene smarter in Spanish, but then he forgets about health? What about if I make Eugene smarter, but he doesn't love his wonderful wife anymore? So, I mean, I'm joking, but not. I mean, we don't know the consequences of, stimulating a healthy brain. I'm pretty confident in an unhealthy brain, because when we work with patients with depression or Alzheimer's, there is something malfunctioning, a circuitry that is not working well, and you're trying to either boost it or inhibit it, right? You're trying to compensate. But in a healthy brain, we don't know enough to understand the long-term consequences of brain stimulation. So I speak on neuroethics a lot, because also we don't know how, you're messing up with the most important part of our body, what it defines to be human. And so can you change judgment? Can you change your way of thinking? I mean, think about social media. Facebook was criticized on the elections. What about if you will have a chip implanted? That taps directly into your brain.
And have you, didn't Elon Musk do an example with a pig, where he was doing brain stimulation? And I
now we lost Jim, but keep going. He'll come back. So Elon Musk.
Yeah,
we got the question. Elon Musk, ethics and pig stimulation.
And I think that one of the things that he was describing in his experiments, which has been out there for, with John Donahue, with, the BrainGate project, is brain-computer interfaces, right? It's like, how do you get your EEG or your brain data, right, to interact with a computer? So this is super useful for people that has been paralyzed, that is, doesn't have other means to communicate with the outside world, right? So this is beautiful, brilliant. People who suffer from a stroke, you name it. And my concern is what happens when this is going to healthy consumer individuals, because young people may have a different data privacy and ethical bar than us, that we are older people, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know,
I'm in the first camp, people.
Okay, so I think that, yeah, so I think there is going to be a lot of people that will be happy to get a chip implanted. And the question is, who is going to regulate or not that data access, you know, and how is it going to play out for the future of humanity, right?
Right.
Because biohacking or brain hacking, I think there are two different things, right? Because your brain defines you as a human, right? So
Right.
anyway, but I think it's exciting times, and I'm super happy that Elon Musk is working in neurotech. He's putting the spotlight into the field. Brian Johnson is with Kernel, and now Peter Thiel also invested in another neurotech company. So it's definitely the brain age. And why? Because how we started the conversation, we know so little. So that the more people get into the field, I think that the better for patients in need.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, I think like actually we're sitting in Martha's Vineyard right now. And the reason we would come to Martha's Vineyard is there was a good friend of ours that, you know, now has Alzheimer's, you know, and we would go and she was the sharpest person in the world. And, you know, you just think about you know, everyone has a story like that of a family friend or a loved one and, you know, the cognitive decline. So it's such a rich area. It's good work. Well done, Ana.
Yeah. And the beauty is that when you talk about your friend, right, we do really believe in Neuroelectrics with good science and good clinical trials that we can help patients in epilepsy, in depression. We are doing an FDA trial in depression fully at home. The patients don't even go to the hospital, or in Alzheimer's. And I think that the side effects of our electrical stimulation versus drugs, which don't exist or fail in many of these pathologies, is a no-brainer, right? And if you think even of things like ADHD, where amphetamines are given to kids, I think that as a community, entrepreneurs and digital health, we really have to come with good ways to deal with these massive diseases, which are totally underserved to patients suffering every day. And that is our commitment. And I think we're going to make it, honestly.
Fantastic.
And I know you guys are, you know, going through the FDA validation, and to the extent you can, I know, you know, congrats. I think this was a few months back, 18 mil to scale what you guys have built so far, which is, you know, kudos. And I just found out Brent Vaughan, who I interviewed on the DTX podcast, is on your board as well, I guess, so maybe you can talk a little bit.
Is on my board, yeah.
Morningside, okay, yeah, Morningside, that's right. And maybe you can chat a little bit where you guys are going. I mean, laser focus in clinical trials, I'm assuming, but anything else that you want to add?
Well, I think that it has been hard to fundraise for new things. I think that fundraising for neuro in general and neurotech med device in particular in a place like Boston or in general the US, I don't think it's an easy thing, right? Because there is so much focus on bio, right, and molecules that it's hard, and you guys know that. But I'm super optimistic, because if you think of Cognito, if you think of Linus Health, if you think of MedRhythms, if you think only in the portfolio of Morningside, there are a bunch of really cool new therapies for neuro, right? And I think I see more and more investors. Now Bob Nelson is raising the big neuro company, right? It's more on pharmacological. But I think that neuro is getting the spotlight again. Awesome. After cancer, and after all these years. So the money that we raised, 18 million in our Series A, is going to help us, of course, to get through the FDA clearance on epilepsy in the next 24 months, but also to push depression and Alzheimer's into the pivotal state. So we feel Neuroelectrics is like a pharma company, with all these pipeline indications that we are going to push into the clinic. And in parallel, we got huge grants to build these neuro twin models of the brain to personalize treatment per Alzheimer, per epilepsy, which I think is know-how that even if other competitors in Asia or in other parts of the world wants to come, is super hard to mimic, right? So we are both pushing this into the clinic, but also building know-how on the brain that nobody else has today.
There's a nice fun. Have you guys they make a live referral here? But you probably looked at the Fountain. Have you looked at Fountain, the venture capital firm Fountain? But they're big into neuro. Anyways, well, off air, we'll give you a nice referral into those guys. But they've had a lot of success in that space.
Yeah, But it's great. I mean, one of the lessons learned is that Eugene knows is that we didn't raise money until this 18 million. And the reason was that we decided to bootstrap by selling our devices to researchers out there. So we made $5 million in revenue last year just by selling to researchers worldwide, but we are in more than 45 countries. So what Neuroelectrics has today is a unique network of clients and users in the most prestigious academic neuro and hospitals in the world. And this has really helped us to boost these collaborations, you know, in pathologies like Alzheimer's or depression or even oncology by using people that are already familiar with our technology. And now that we have raised money, we will focus more mainly on the clinical side, but it's also a lesson learned from other entrepreneurs, especially in the US, that you don't always necessarily need to raise the money day one. You can also learn from the market, get your minimum viable product out there, establish strong relationships, and then be ready to scale up, take the big money, and then focus on the clinical, right?
Yep. Yeah, you're talking to the choir.
I was gonna say, Jim, you know, Anna kind of preempted your typical question at the end.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
Jim always asks, like, the, you know, unless you want to do another twist on it.
Yeah, let's do a twist on it. So picture yourself, you know, picture yourself as a young newlywed, and you've just married a brilliant physicist, and you are working in space tech, and you you're moving to Boston, and you're giving advice to this young person, and they want to start a digital health technology company. What advice would you give to this young entrepreneur?
That sounds familiar.
I think that the secret really of any entrepreneur, there are two secrets. Why are you creating your company? And money shouldn't be the answer. That's one of the lessons learned. You know, why are you creating your company? And the second is don't give up, is perseverance. I mean, you cannot imagine how many doors have been closed during my life as entrepreneurs. I never gave up. And the reason is question one, because I had the right motivation to create my company, and the ethical motivation, which was, you know, the driver is we want to help patients and we want to do it right. There is no shortcut. Yep. But perseverance, I mean, I think it's very easy to give up because the odds are always against you. And being a women CEO, I have to tell you, it's even harder. Being from, you know, Europe, moving into the US, into a place like Boston, where I made these wonderful friends. But it's tough, but you just have to, you know, never give up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Words of wisdom from Anna. Well, listen, thank you for joining us and from your holiday from the mountains. No worries about the cap. So
I'm going to show you the mountains. Let me see if you can see the mountains.
Let's do it.
See it.
See if you can see it.
You might need to shut off the background filter.
No, we get it. We can see it.
But we can.
Let me show. No, let me close my background. Let me see if I can do it now.
You see the Pyrenees. This is a great way. The inspirational.
That's right. That will get me through this week for sure. Aside from Anna's energy.
Exactly. Any more questions while I close this?
No, we love it. We just
listen. We can talk for hours.
No, we love it. I love it. So know why you're doing something, know why you're setting it up, and have it not be about money. And that will allow you to fight through doors being shut in your face and persisting.
That sounds like every day.
Yeah, and recruit.
I think you did it. I think
it's smarter than you.
Oh. We can see it. We got it.
Oh, yes. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Fantastic. And we're going to let you return to the Pyrenees with your family and your 4 kids.
Okay, guys, it was great to talk to you. Any entrepreneur that needs support, write me an email. I'm always big supporter of digital health, alternative technologies, and we need an army of innovators to deal with the brain. So please help us. You know,
that's great call to action. And Anna, I'll see you back in Barcelona hopefully soon. Cheers.
Gracias.
Con tu español, con tu buen español. Practice tu español, por favor, Eugene.